I'm going to speak louder today. Don, can you hear me okay? It's okay?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Okay. It's a new microphone. I'm testing it. I just ordered it, so I'm testing it. Maybe if it will be like that. All right. Cool. So,
So, Uval, you're going to be, I can't control the slides, can I?
nope.
Okay, I'll
But
just tell you. Okay, I'll just tell
but
you this to move it, I guess.
exactly. Okay. 1 second. Let me try something else here
Okay.
for the microphone, because it seems like people can't hear me that well.
How about now? Can you hear me better now? Yes. All right. So now it's without the microphone anymore. I just connected my headphones. So we're good. Don, can you speak for 1 second?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear it. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Guys and girls.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for your feedback. Now we're going to have better experience. So that's good. We're 83 people right now, and I'm going to share my screen real quick. We're going to start in 1 more minute.
Okay.
And today we're going to have Don, she's a friend of mine. I remember having you on the podcast, and after that meeting you in Amsterdam.
That was nice.
Yeah, and it's lovely, being in relationship with you for I feel like 3 years already. I know you more or less professional relationship. Yeah. So it's a while now, and thank you so much for doing this webinar. And
it's my pleasure, Yuval.
Super excited to have you here. And I want people here in the audience, before we start, to say one thing that they expect to learn today from this event. One thing, one expectation that you have. Why did you sign up? What made you sign up to this webinar today? Anyone? Anyone at all? Come on. I can't see anyone, right? Okay, Nikita, to be thoroughly entertained by Don. Tabata is a UX writer transitioning to UX. Tabata was talking about conversation microcopy. Chelsea was talking about doing the transition from copywriting to UX writing, how to design conversations, and saying making the transition from a classic copywriter to UX. Natalie is saying ideas how to get in process of better UX writing. Zach is same as Chelsea. Hey, Zach. Hey, Chelsea. How are you? And many people that want to know more about this field. A lot of people that are doing the transition from traditional copywriting to UX writing. And many people here that are trying to soak up all of the UX writing knowledge that they can. And that they're looking for examples as well. So there are going to be many examples. Okay. And that's about it. So Thank you for your responses. And Don, thank you so much for being here today, as I said. And you can take it away.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to talk today about how to design a conversation. And next slide. Okay, I guess I'm curious who's here tonight. And I think there's copywriters and UX writers. Anybody else? Maybe you want to put that in the chat.
So we have UX researcher, you have UX designers, we have technical writers as well, information architecture, UX designers, project managers, content strategists, UX tech, UX researchers, product marketers,
Yes.
solution architects, which is an interesting title.
UX, okay. Designers, okay, cool.
We have translators also, localization people, language specialists.
Okay.
And also ex-SEO content writers.
Okay.
As well. Not a
All right.
Rachel.
Okay, well, this is good. Now I know who my audience is. It's always nice to know. I'd like you to bear with me because this is the first time I've done this presentation where I wasn't standing in front of an audience. So I'm not really used to this, but I'll do my best. Okay, next slide, Yuval. Okay, my experience is I started as a copywriter. Then for a while I was a technical writer, and then I moved into UX writing. And I was a UX writer for CarNext, the first UX writer there. And over there, what I did is I made it possible. I wrote the sales funnel that made it possible to buy a car online. And buying a car online is a lot more complicated than buying a book. There's a lot of steps involved. It's a multi-stage process. And so that was very interesting. Right now I'm a UX writer for Adidas, and I'm working on a new streetwear app. And if people are curious what they can contact me for, I help people with UX writing, storytelling for websites and apps. A little bit about me personally. I'm a UX writer, I'm a dad, and I'm a native New Yorker, but now I'm living in Amsterdam. Next slide. Okay, this is a roadmap for my talk. The first part is, do you need a copywriter or a UX writer? And I'm going to deal with what's the difference between the two. My second part of the talk is going to really focus on words. And my feeling is that words really do the heavy lifting in UX. And I'm going to show some examples of that. I'm going to show you examples of what inspires me, and it's not Apple and Tesla. And then I'm going to share some experiences about how I design a conversation. It's what works for me. It may work for you, but other things can work as well. And then at the end, we'll have some questions. And I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. And next slide, Yuval. Do you need a copywriter or a UX writer? Okay, next. Back one. Okay, this is how cars were sold back in the 50s and the 60s. There was an ad campaign, and this is actually a copy of an ad that was extremely effective at selling cars. It was written by a copywriter, and as I understand, it won the best ad campaign of the 20th century. You see there's a lot of text, and go to the next slide and we'll learn about copywriters. Okay, I'm not sure if everybody is familiar with the show Mad Men. It was about the ad world in the 1960s. And they had a really, really able copywriter named Peggy Olson. And basically Peggy, she wrote to persuade people. That's what it was about. And she was really good at getting big ideas, getting the attention of people. And let's face it, the ad people are sometimes very focused on being cool. As far as their process, you had the person, the copywriter and the designer working together in a nice relationship, and they really made, like, what they had, they really made it into one, like a powerful presentation. And here's the key part, is they were hired by either a marketing team or a sales team, and their focus was always on pushing product. It was always like better, greater, newest technology, but it was always, being very enthusiastic. Next slide, Yuval. Okay, and here is a dialogue box that was written by a UX writer who happens to be me. And this was written for CarNext.com, and CarNext has the largest platform for high quality used cars in Europe. And basically what we did is we just kind of asked people what they want. When they came to browse cars, they would come across this user interface. New cars are added every day. We can inform you when a car that matches your interests becomes available. Really clear. You're not really trying to convince anybody of anything. You're just passing them along a message. And then you click Stay Informed. Next slide. And then you have to fill out a form. And notice that the button said Stay Informed, and this headline is also Stay Informed. And in this particular case, this person wanted to be informed when the BMWs were added to stock. So all you needed to do was fill in your email, click the terms and conditions, and press send. And what's interesting about this is that e-commerce sites live and die on their forms. And there's always the feeling like, hey, you know what, let's get a whole lot of information from people so our marketing people can do what they need to do. On the other hand, people really don't like to fill in forms. So if you can make it one field, make it one field. If you can, try to keep that to a minimum. Okay, the next slide, Yuval. Okay, so basically this sums up what a UX writer does. A UX writer writes to guide users in the customer journey. We're not trying to convince you of anything. And the UX writer creates clear, concise, and useful copy. And actually the UX writer doesn't really care about cool, because to be quite honest with you, it doesn't work in a sales funnel. And the key thing here is that the UX writer is not hired by the marketing department. He's hired by the design or product team. And it's actually part of what he writes or she writes is part of the digital product. Next slide. And you see you have a different sales process. It actually requires a different skill set. I mean, you can have a copywriter and a UX writer be the same person, but you have to put another hat on and you have to write in another way. Okay, next one. So let's compare. So like a copywriter, as I mentioned, he writes to, or she writes to persuade, creates those exciting words that create a buzz. The UX writer guides users in the journey, and the UX writer's words are clear, concise, and useful. If you're buying a car, you're going to a car showroom. In the case of CarNext, you're going to the app or a web shop. In the case of the copywriter, you go to the showroom and the salesperson tries to sell you the car. And online, there is no salesperson. So you have a user interface replaces that salesperson. And there is no in the showroom, maybe you'll have a cashier or some type of cash function to purchase the product. But in online, it's the sales funnel handles that function. So, it's quite a difference. Next slide, Yuval. And what I've noticed is that things are really evolving in the business world. When I was starting over at CarNext, not a whole lot of people knew what UX writing was. And actually not a lot of product owners knew what UX writing was. And so in general, like business people, when they need some text to go with something, they say, yeah, get me a copywriter. And that has become kind of like the default option. And sometimes there's, it's about selling product and pushing product. And sometimes people have the feeling like, let's make it even, like I call copy on steroids. It's like better and greater and the best technology. But things are really changing and evolving. And I'm kind of glad about that because the audience, the consumers are a whole lot more sophisticated than they were 50 years ago. Next slide. Here's a perfect definition I found about UX writing. UX writing is the practice of designing words people see when they interact with software. It's about designing the conversation between a product and its users. And I don't know Linda Sanchez, but I really admire how she summed it up so perfectly. So if you're out there, Linda, great work. Okay, next one. And I think that whether you're a copywriter or a UX writer, you should always know your client really well. And I like to say, walk 10 miles in your client's shoes, and you really get to appreciate what he or she deals with, and you can then better address their needs. And I'm going to come back to this point later. Okay. Part two, words, I think, do the heavy lifting in UX, and I'm going to show some examples on the following pages. Yep. This is a screenshot from Coolblue, and that's where I buy all my computer stuff because they're really good, and they always make me feel good. And in fact, I go on there and I get a message like this: "Hi Don, what are you looking for?" They're really trying to engage me. Or on the right side of the screen, "Welcome, good to see you, Don." It's really good. So that's the words that do it. It's not the design. Okay, the next slide. And words can also set the tone. So this is a slide from Uber Eats. Delicious eats delivered easy. The restaurants you love delivered to your door. Order now. It's not really trying to convince you of anything. It's just presenting information, clear and to the point. Clear, concise, and useful information. Next one. Words are also very good at reducing friction. This is a screenshot from Squarespace, and it's about making websites. And a lot of times people are a little apprehensive to click the Get Started button because they're thinking, hey, I need to pull out my credit card and I just want to get a feel without putting all this information. So right here, there's some copy that says free trial, no credit card required. And when you read information like that, you're more apt to click the button. So it reduces friction in the experience, in the customer journey. Next one. Okay, words can also make interactions more meaningful. Now, this is a screen that I actually wrote, and this is for a software company. And we had like an hour discussion about this call to action, which they wanted to say, watch our video, watch our short video. And I said, you can't say that. And they said, well, why can't we say it? I said, well, what's short? It could be 5 seconds. It could be 5 minutes. People don't know. And people don't want to click something if they don't know what to expect. So I said to them, hey, how long is this video? And they said, it's 1.5 minutes. Okay. And then I said, all right, take a 90-second tour. So you'll kind of have an idea what to expect. It's a minute and a half, which most people can spare. And it's a tour. So you kind of have an idea that it's a product tour. So it's really clear, concise, and useful information. And it makes the interaction more possible because people say, okay, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, next one. So why actually do you need a UX writer? Well, UX writers are good at solving problems, and their words help you define the experience. You know, so if you're like a product manager, that's important for the product manager. And their words can move people to action. And what everybody wants more of is the words can also help improve conversion, especially of interest to the CEO people who are out there. Okay. The next chapter is getting inspired. Okay. These are two things that inspire me. And it's not Apple and it's not Tesla. And what I like to do is when I see an experience that really works, I try to understand why did it work and what can I learn from it. Okay, next slide. Okay, there's a children's author from the Netherlands called Dick Brunner, and his style of writing and his books are really, really engaging. And he has a little character called Miffy, and it's really engaging for children and their parents. I mean, as a parent, I just loved reading these books to my kids. And the story has a clear message, and the image and the words, they speak with one voice, and they do it so good is that it's easy to translate, which is something that whenever I'm working in UX writing, it's not one country, it's several. And, you know, at CarNext, it was over 20. And at Adidas, it's going to be more than 30. So it's something that's of interest. And what you people are doing, I'm sure you're also going to be dealing with multiple languages. So it's interesting to see when somebody does that so good. Next slide. Okay, here's just a sample of a page. And it's just really, you can read it. It's just clear and to the point. And the picture kind of reinforces the message. And what I find a lot when people are developing websites and apps and a lot of things, it's like, okay, you know what? We're going to design something and we'll leave a place for the text. But I wouldn't do that because it's the text is actually, the words are actually the star of the show because the words make it all happen. It's like the oil that helps the car to run better. Okay, next slide, Yuval. I also want to share something that I thought was very interesting about Amsterdam Airport. It's very interesting because on a good year, Amsterdam Schiphol Airport has 90 million travelers, and actually nobody gets lost. And that, you know, I find that kind of curious. Because I was thinking like an airport and a website or an e-commerce site, that they're actually in the same business. If you think about it, they want to get a lot of people in, and they want to get them from point A to point B. In the case of an airport, they want to get you from your home to entering the airport. And it's a very long journey. And you want to make sure people complete it successfully. So I did a little research on the airport, and go to the next slide. And as I mentioned, they're in the traffic business like we are, and their work is dependent on a good user experience and helping people find their way. And actually, as a UX writer, it's the same for me and for you, I think. Next slide. So I actually was in contact with the people who designed the wayfinding at Schiphol Airport. And basically what they said is that they try to connect people with places. And I said, well, how do you actually do it? And they say, okay, well, and this is getting back to walking 10 steps, 10 miles in your client's shoes, is they actually walk 10 miles in their client's shoes. So if you were to enter, you were to park your car in the garage, and as soon as you get from there, they would guide you from stepping out of your car all the way to entering the gate. And they'd walk every step, and in every step of the journey, they wanted to understand the context you were dealing with. And they wanted to understand the psychology at every step of the way. And then they would say, okay, we need a sign here, or we need to tell the users something here, and we need to provide enough story to get them to the next step. And it might not say, it's not like a story like Dick Bruner would write, but in a way, it is. Because it might be a story like it's 5-minute walk to your next stop, and you'll see that with a little 5 in a circle around it. But it's very interesting. And what I noticed is because they understand the psychology of the traveler at every step, is that once you actually board a plane at Schiphol Airport, you're very relaxed and relieved at the end, and they take the stress out of it all. And as a result, it's really a good place for like the tax-free shops do a wonderful business there, because everybody's in a good mood when they get through. And one of the things they were good at was addressing the needs of the users at each step of the journey, which is something that a UX writer does. Okay, the next slide. Okay, and how to design the conversation. This is, okay, next one, Yuval. So actually, I thought I could just use their process, because I'm also connecting people with something. And at CarNext, we were connecting people with the right car. Not really maybe not the perfect car, but for the right car for them. And basically, I did the same thing. You know, walking every step, of going through the entire journey from the perspective of the customer, and try to understand that, and understand the context and the psychology of the customer, and also address the needs that need to be done. And I found that this worked for me. It may not work for you, but it may. So think about it. Next one, Yuval. And the CarNext brand was basically, they have a top selection of high quality used cars. And they didn't try to sell cars as much as help you find the right car for you. And they would give it, with every car, there was an entire car history. So you were able to make an informed choice. And every car passes an extensive selection process, so you had nothing to worry about. And if for some reason, after driving the car and you don't like it, you're able to get your money back within 14 days. No questions asked. I mean, it was quite a thing. It was quite an interesting sales proposition. It wasn't yelling, and there was no bargaining. It was like, this is it. And it was very successful. So next slide, Yuval. And this is just to give you an idea. So as I mentioned, you know, UX writing is about clear, concise, and useful. So it's like, you know, clear. You can see on this slide that you can find a used car, and you can choose from over 400. There tells you exactly the USPs right in the body copy. And then underneath, you'll see our clients rate us 9.9 out of 10. This is all useful information to make you feel comfortable, so you'll buy the car. Okay? And this is all on brand. All right, next slide. And CarNext offers a top selection of high quality used cars. And then again, at the bottom, fixed all-in pricing, 14-day money-back guarantee, full maintenance history, and home delivery. And then you see how many cars are available in this showroom. It's really clear, it's to the point, and nobody's pushing you. It's a very comfortable way to buy a car. Next slide. And what I try to do at CarNext, and what I try to do in most of my work, is I try to humanize the brand, and I use conversation in it. So, for instance, this slide is about actually financing a car. And I don't know if anybody has tried to get a mortgage or a car loan or some type of thing, but that whole process is dry and it's annoying and it's like, it takes the wind out of your sails. And so we kind of try to make it a little clearer and to the point. And it's like, find out how much you can borrow. If you know what you can afford, it's easy to find the right car. And then it's just like you're talking to your friend. It's that kind of conversation. It's very conversational. And then at the bottom, it's like request a financing offer. And then there'll be a calculator that can help you figure it all out. And it puts you at ease. Okay, next one. And you can continue the conversation throughout the site. You can continue it in the dialogue boxes, in the content flows, and in the emails. And this is the slide I showed earlier. Okay, next one. And you could also continue it on the 404 page. And instead of just having a 404 page, it's just like, well, people are lost. And it was just like, well, we provided links at the bottom so they would know, so they could get back on their journey, so they can take a look at cars or go to the homepage or find a store nearby. And it's all in this conversational tone. Okay, next. And so now I'm thinking about like, what's the purpose of your conversation? It's like when you're writing something, you should think of like, okay, what am I actually trying to achieve? And usually when I'm working on B2B accounts, usually what I'm trying to achieve is I want the person to schedule a demo. Because if they schedule a demo, then the salespeople or the product people can actually speak with them. They can show the product. They can develop a relationship with them, and then they can actually sell the product. So to do that, you want to engage the customer. You want to inform about the product. And it's always helpful to like show empathy for what they're dealing with, their pain points. It's always great if you can address those, because then they feel like you're on their side. And then the ultimate is get them to sign up. And again, remember, and on the form, try to keep it as simple as possible, because the more fields that you put on a form, the less chance they're going to fill it out. Okay, the next one. Okay, and when you're dealing with a B2C audience, what's the purpose of the conversation? You want to engage the customer, you inform about the product, you want to gain trust, and you want to enter and complete the sales funnel. You really want to do that. And you want to make it pleasant. Okay, next slide. And this is just to give you an idea of like buying a car, and it kind of gives you an overview of what it's like to buy a car. By the way, I didn't write this slide. So, okay. And in this case, it's enter and complete the sales funnel. Okay. Next one. What I've found very effective is using your headlines to tell your story. Next one. This slide is for a website I wrote for a venture capital company. And basically they want to get like people who have innovative hardware products. So a headline advancing your innovations and tells them exactly what they're looking for. And the next one, Yuval. And then helping you get to the next step. You really want to put the founders who are founding these unbelievable companies, you want to put them at ease. And the conversation is very nice, and you feel like you know these guys. But mind you, they're dealing with really technical subject matters, but it's still friendly and it's to the point, because even though it's technical, you know, this is what people respond to. Next slide. And then on one of the pages explains what they're doing and why they do it, and why they're investing specifically in hardware innovations. So you'll get a feeling of what you can expect. Next slide. And just to tell people on the website, this is what we're looking for, is because, so we put it all out in the open. So when somebody is looking for funding and they come to this page, and this is what the people want. Here's what we're looking for. And actually, if you have all these things, they're going to be really interested. But they make it clear and to the point, so you can just read the information, and when you contact them, you know exactly what they're looking for. And it's the headlines. Here's what we're looking for. It's friendly. Next one. And then just meet the team. And then it's always very helpful to write something that makes the person feel human, and not just say something like, yeah, Fred did this and he's, all these wonderful things about Fred. But we also get, in each one of these bios, he'll give a little advice. Like this one said, Fred said, don't design for perfect. If you have a product that's 80% ready, just, bring it to market with your clients and help them, and they'll help you design it for the rest of the way. And this adds a level of humanity to the company and to the experience for the user, for the reader, or the startup who needs money. Okay, next one. This is something that I've always found interesting. This is from a book that was from over 100 years old. It's a writing style guide. It's called Elements of Style. And I actually forgot about this book. I had it in college, and right after college, I had used it a few times. But then I forgot about it. And then I read Steve Krug's Don't Make Me Think. And then he made this one of his main principles, one of, usability principles, like omit needless words. And what's interesting is that everybody in technology always wants something that's like the newest is this advice is 100 years old, and it still works. Okay, next one. This is a form that I saw that BMW had, and it's not a bad, the headline is okay. The copy underneath it is okay, but I think they're asking for too much information. But it's not bad, but I think it can be improved, because, yeah, as I mentioned before, the less fields you ask, the higher your response. And you want to be able to get a qualified leads also. So your salespeople can do what they do. And if you have one or two fields, then there's a better chance you're going to get those qualified leads. So ask for as little as possible. Next slide. Okay. Summing up, you need to engage your audience. And if you're if you're dealing with websites or digital products, you're going to be dealing with things like, about us pages, mission statements, though I think those are going a bit out of style, product descriptions, sales funnels. Now, you're not going to be writing the customer reviews, but they're really important for the audience to connect with your product or service. And you're also going to be writing interfaces and dialog boxes and forms and navigations. And on each one, you'll have a little story or conversation, even if it's just like a sentence or so. Okay, next one. Here's something that I kind of, a book that I bought several years ago. And what I thought was interesting is one of the beginning paragraphs in the book. He says clarity of writing usually follows clarity of thought. And think of what you want to say and say it as simple as possible. And what you'll find is it's really hard to say something as simple as possible. It takes time to get things really clear and to the point, but it's worthwhile. Okay, next one. And I just want to share something with you. This is a slide from Norwegian Air. And what I always find it a kind of nerve-wracking when I'm booking a flight, when I used to book flights, because I thought, oh, if I write my passport number in wrong, something's going to go wrong. But I kind of like it. It's very easy. The information is clear. It's like book your flight, helpful booking information, and manage your booking. And then I go to the next slide. Yuval. And then I find all the information I need here. And usually it's funny because I always used to fly KLM to go from Amsterdam to New York. And I found that their sales funnel was like, they would have this screen and in 3 different screens. And it was hard to compare things. And here it's like really clear and to the point. And it really, as a customer, it puts me at ease, which is something you want to do with the people you're writing for. And something like this is, I think, something what a good UX copywriter could make, UX writer can make this really good. Okay. That was it. Thanks for joining. And if there are any questions, maybe Yuval, should we put them in the chat?
Yeah, Don. So I collected the questions and I'm going to share the screen right now with the questions.
Okay.
Hold on. Oh, that's not it. All right. People are thanking you, by the way, in the comments. Alexander, Katrine, everybody are thanking you. And it was a fantastic talk. I really enjoyed it. So many great examples. And
thank you, Yuval.
It was really well done, and I learned a lot. I really like the examples from the airport and from this children book. And
yeah,
I really like the book by Don Norman, Design of Everyday Things.
Yeah, that was a very good book. Yeah.
When it's like talking about real world examples and how we can implement them in our user experience of the digital products that we create.
Yeah.
So
and the thing is that you really need to think things through, like in like a lot of detail. And it's not as easy as it might seem. Okay.
Oh. Okay. Steffi is asking a question. And by the way, people voted on it. So it's like the democratized Q&A.
Okay.
So Steffi is asking, how do you know if you're a good UX writer?
I don't know. That's a hard one, Steffi. I would tend to think if my product owners that I'm reporting to, if they feel that, if they feel that they're comfortable with the words that I present to help them do their job better.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a lot of times if I'm not sure of something, if I have if I'm writing a piece of text and I'm not sure about it, I'll just say, I'll ask somebody to read it and be critical of it. And I'll explain to them what I'm trying to achieve. And I'll say, don't feel bad if you just be really honest. And then I can get feedback on it. And
like this example.
Yeah. And then if it needed to be improved, then I'd improve it. I hope I answered your question, Steffi.
That's a great answer. And I agree. Like from the time that I was a graphic designer, I honestly don't think that I was the best graphic designer. That I don't think that I'm the best writer at all. But I was just nagging my friends and people that close to me at the beginning to give me feedback if they
Yeah.
like my graphics, or right now ask for peers and colleagues if about my copy, and now it's a little bit more professional, so I'm sharing it with the
Yeah.
team and I'm asking for feedback, and based on that feedback I can improve.
And then you can take it to the next step.
Exactly. In
Yeah.
addition, we can also use numbers to understand if our copy
Yeah.
is effective. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
good UX writer is the person, the copy that sells more car for CarNext will be
Yeah.
the best copy, and the writer that wrote it will be the best UX writer.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool. So 1 second, let me.
The balance between
Okay,
that
so
one.
people say, 1 second, how to find the right balance between conciseness, robotic tone, and conversational. Phrases too long, too many words.
Yeah. Well, I think that the key is that you need to engage people. And I mean, I could reduce things to like 5 words, but the key thing is you need to engage people and like make it concise, but also make it engaging. So if you could cut out an extra 3 words and it's less engaging, don't cut out the words, because the engagement is the key. And just like, yeah, and just feel, see if you could make it any clearer.
Mm-hmm. And
and sometimes what I like to do is I like to write something and then, put it down for a day and then come back to it and then look at it with a pair of fresh eyes. And then I find it easier to edit my own work after having seen it for a day or 2 days. But again, I would just ask people for feedback, or ask somebody if you think like you have a robotic tone, or ask, is it engaging? And then see what they say, and then revise it, and then give it back to them, or give it to another friend and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to achieve. What do you think? And if you're or give it to somebody who is in the target audience, and they'll understand the context of what your client is going through.
All right. Thank you, Don. Next question. Okay. How to demonstrate the value of UX writing to stakeholders?
That's a hard one.
Right? Because when they're coming to you for a freelance project, they already know that they need a UX writer.
Sometimes they come to me for a project and they don't know they need a UX writer. They just know they need a writer, and they think it's a copywriter. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, I've had experiences where people come to me and they say, well, this is what we'd like you to do, and we need a good copywriter. And I would say, okay, that's fine, without telling them that it's UX writing. But okay, if you think it's copywriting, okay, that's fine. How to demonstrate the value of, I would just test it on people. I would just say, okay, this is what you're trying to achieve. And I would say, try to stand in the shoes, try to walk in the shoes of the client, and stop thinking like a stakeholder and start thinking like a client, and see if you find this valuable, see which approach you would really be interested in. I don't know if I answered your question, but I tried.
Thank you, John. How to define a voice and tone for a company?
I would ask them what they thought their core values were. I would ask them to write it down, and I would ask the same question to some of their customers and see what they said, and then just try to understand it from the company's point of view, but also from the perspective of the customer or the user or whoever you're writing for, and then try to find a balance that can tell your story. Because people don't people really aren't really interested in new technology and that kind of stuff. They're interested in what the technology can do for them. So, sell them, you want to sell them things that benefit their life. That's what they want to buy. They don't want to buy technology. They want to make their life easier. And then I would just balance all those things and see, okay, what voice would work on this audience? These are this is your audience, this is your product, and what voice would work and what you're trying to achieve.
And I think also it's a really good, I know about a really great methodology that many companies are doing, which is defining some kind of a survey to their users and to understand how their users perceive them. There are many tricks and tips to do that kind of survey and different methodologies by different companies. But this is one way to do that. Another questions. Okay, so someone is asking, how would you improve the BMW form? And let's go back to the BMW form. So do that.
I would just eliminate. I think you can. To start with, you don't need the first and last name. You can do like name to start with. What's your name? Okay. And you can do email address to start with, because you don't really need their first and last name to start with. You just need their email address. So you can make it just email addressed or name and email address. I would just reduce the number of fields.
Personally,
and then one more thing is in the body copy, it says, don't miss out on the latest innovations, product updates, events, and more. And more is too vague, and it makes the sentence too long. I would say, don't miss out on the latest innovations, updates, and events, or innovations, product updates, and events. Period. And not sign up today to get all the news. We just said that in the first paragraph, in the first sentence. They're going to get the latest innovations, updates, and events. That's enough. Don't say sign up today to get all the news from. You're wasting time. And then so 2 fields, and that's it. And a tighter message. And then stay connected to all things BMW is fine. It's clear. It says what it is. Okay.
I would also ditch the zip code probably. We don't need that.
Yeah.
And also design-wise, I would probably add like bullet points in the first paragraph, which would be like, these are the benefits, 1, 2, 3, 4, sign up.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But just concise, because people are in a rush and they don't want to. You don't want them to cut off, so you don't want to waste their time. Okay. Oh, I like this one, Yuval. The difference between a technical writer and a UX writer. Technical writers would write. Historically, they came from like software, and they'd write like. I remember when I did my first technical writing gig, it was like, "What's in the box?" It's when you actually had manuals. And you describe the product. What I think, it's actually a technical writer, I think, would have an easier time making a switch to UX writing than a copywriter, because a technical writer has only one purpose, and that is to make sure that the person who bought this software or bought this product gets it, and put them at ease so they can just start enjoying the product. And that's the only thing they're focused on. They want to make sure that they get the product and they know how to use it. And so it's very much focused on the audience. And a UX writer has a similar type of thing, is like, like a laser focus on the audience. And neither of them are really that interested in stuff that are cool. They just want to get it clear to the point. This is what it is, and this is what it does. So it's actually, I think they're pretty close together. Okay.
And actually, we had a podcast episode for Writers in Tech with Jared Spool talking about the evolution of UX writing from technical writing to UX writing and the history. So
Yeah.
I'm going to share that one in the chat right now. If you're interested, pay that a listen. It's on Spotify and on Apple Podcast as well.
Oh, I'm interested in that one.
So I'm going to send it to you too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Yuval.
No problem. All right, next one. So how to start writing a style guide that follows the brand's voice and tone. Any tips?
Yeah, is don't. I think it's easier just to start writing a website. I mean, start with actually writing something for the company. Don't just say, okay. I've had experiences with multinationals. I won't say the names, and they think that it's important. They're going to launch something really fabulous, and we're going to launch something so fabulous that we're going to get somebody from another country to do it because, they can do it better than people who are living in the Netherlands. And what happens is you have somebody who's actually writing a style guide who's not actually writing any of the copy. So it becomes a kind of wish list. So I actually had, I wrote a style guide for Elsevier, their product called Science Direct. And they said, we'd like you to write a style guide, and we'd like you to take the clutter out of our website. And I thought, okay, how do I do this? And I thought, well, if I actually do the website thing first, then I have a better feeling on what you're actually doing. So if you can actually start in writing something that's I think better than just starting from scratch. Because otherwise it's just like the client says, oh, we're innovative, we're this, and we're durable, and blah, 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 blah. And then you write, oh, we want to have a tone of voice, that's innovative, durable, and it's hard. It's a hard place to start. But when you're actually writing something, then you can tell about innovation. You can see which is the best way to talk about it. Or, yeah, that worked for me when I was doing the style guide at Science Direct. So I guess those are my tips.
Don, so we're running out of time, and
Okay.
I want to cover a bit more questions, but before we'll take 2 more questions, I want to ask about the exercise. Do you want to talk about the exercise?
Well, yeah, just fill it in. It's about, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, move it down a little so I can. Now that's move it to the top of the document. Yuval?
Yes, like here?
Right, yeah. Okay. What I was thinking about is, yeah, create a text that interests me in signing up for a demo. And the product is a platform. It's a company that it's fictional, Easy Invest. And their audience is freelancers and independent contractors. And the purpose is to invest so they can safely invest and they can build a pension. And the platform is based on a patented algorithm. And the ability to develop trust is critical for your audience. And then just, yeah. These are the things that the audience, about the audience, long-term growth. They want to retire at age 60. They have a moderate risk profile. And when you're dealing with people's money, people always need to be reassured. That's critical. And yeah, and then here's the instructions. Sign up for a demo, get them to sign up for a demo. And then you can make a mock-up of a screenshot, and you can have a headline, 1 to 4 sentences of body copy, and then a call to action, or any way that you think is convincing, that's engaging.
All right.
Okay. And the deadline is midnight, February 5th. Okay, why don't you see anytime February 5th,
Yeah.
and then I'll open it on February 6th at the end of my day, and it should be okay.
All right. And the winner gets UX Writing Hub annual membership, which is cool. It's access to all of our online events for 1 year. And we have a really interesting lineup coming up. And also access to all of the past recordings and the Slack group and the community. So it's going to be really, really cool. And if you want to check our membership as well, I recommend to check this website as well. And if you're already a member, you're going to get 1 hour consultation with me if you want to be the portfolio. If you're interested to get into the field, I'm here and I'll guide you to do that. Don will take one more questions and then we'll finish.
One more question and then, okay. Let's see.
Lee Baker is asking, you said that UX writing does not attempt to persuade, but doesn't have to persuade you that the interaction is worthwhile.
Well, let's say you say it doesn't attempt to persuade, but it doesn't have to persuade. Yeah, I would say that's right. It doesn't have to persuade you. It just, if you understand who the audience is, you can just present it and it will persuade them. If you understand what their pain points are or the context of what they're dealing with. If you can address their needs really good, you don't have to use a persuasive tone of voice or try to sell them something. You just present it to them. And then I think they'll interact. I hope I answered your question, Lee. I'm not sure I did. Okay, can I say something to conclude?
Yes, please.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. I appreciate your interest, and the UX Writing Hub is pretty worthwhile. So if you're looking to get into the field, become active in Yuval's community.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. Thank you for a great talk. I loved it. I love the examples. I loved all of your answers. I love the assignments. It's pretty cool exercise. And in case you haven't checked the exercise, I'm going to share the link again. And thank you for being us today. It was a blast to have you here. And it was very lively, and
okay, good.
We loved your chat over here. Like,
you know what? It's hard for me because I can't look in people's faces. So
it's difficult. It's
difficult. But I hope it did okay, everybody.
People loved it. And,
okay, good.
It's tough. I know it's tough, but you need to get used to it. It took some time for me to get used to it as well. And I hope to have you again, Don. It was fabulous.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Yuval.
Of course. Have a great day, evening.
Okay.
And see you soon.
Okay.
Ciao.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Ciao.